And a lot of that has to do with land ownership. Like a government will show up and say, everything from this line to the line 5,000 miles over there, it's ours. You don't own any of it. We're going to give it to our huge corporation buddies. And unless you want to starve to death, you don't have any land. You don't get to farm. You don't get to hunt, gather, do anything. If you want to live on that land that we just declared we own, you have to pay us rent, and property taxes, and golly gee, it happens that thanks to us, the only option you have is to work for our buddies in this giant corporation. Again, they can't force that unless they have the government there to do it. And so they get intertwined, and people blame the corporations and often miss. And, using government to do that is completely immoral. So what the corporations do is immoral. People miss the fact that they can't do that if there's the government there. Like, if a private company showed up and said, we own all of Argentina, and everybody living there said, no, you don't, the corporation would go, oh, that didn't work. I'm the CEO, what am I going to do? Go door to door and tell them we have to. Unless they have a big, powerful government that they can convince to enforce their claims, again, all they can do is offer jobs or offer to sell goods, and all these companies go, no, I can farm my own, I can work for somebody else, I can do whatever. If you're not ruling out my other options, you're not oppressing me. Was there a follow-up? Okay.
I was wondering how the mere elimination of government would work to correct the incredible wealth disparity prevalent in this country.
Two things. The question is about how removal of government would deal with the huge wealth disparity. On the one hand, I don't care about wealth disparity. If somebody else got ridiculously wealthy off of voluntary exchange, which means every time you had an interaction with anybody else that made them that rich, they wanted to do it, I don't care. If somebody has $20 billion from trading with people who wanted to trade with them, I don't mind. And there's a word for minding, it's called coveting. And for Christians, it's a sin. I'm not a Christian, but I think it's the envy that drives a lot of government redistribution things is worse than the greed of the guy who wants tons of money, if he gets it voluntarily. However, if they don't have the government to give them monopolies and giant advantages, I think naturally a free market tends to even out a lot more than it does now.
What about the wealth that's not dependent on the market, like land?
Oh, yeah, land ownership. Right now, I don't want to get into this too much, but the concept of homesteading. Somebody doesn't get to step on the continent and go, this is mine. Anybody who lives between that and 5,000 miles over there has to pay me rent. It's bogus. Nobody has the right to do that. The concept that land ownership comes from homesteading, from using it. Like, I built a farm here. I built my house here. Nobody else was here. I didn't kill somebody and then do it. And having just come on a train across the country, I can tell you there's a lot of unused land here, but the government claims all of it. So you don't get to say, I'm going to live here. In fact, even if it gives you the land, it says you have to keep paying us for the privilege of owning your own land. We call it property tax.
They own all.
And that's immoral too. And so right now, without government, there's lots and lots and lots of land, and it's not desolate wasteland, that people have the absolute right to go to and say, I'm just going to live here. So build a house here. I mean, frontier days was basically that. Well, there's nobody here. I'm going to build a house, and then it's fine, and this is my land. Now, if you have 1,000 people in 2 square miles, it gets really problematic. So far, we're not at that. But yeah, when governments by themselves, or corporations by way of government, say, we own this giant tract of land just because we said so, now you have to pay for the privilege of standing on it. Yeah, that's bogus. It's like me saying, by the way, I own the planet. You are here to leave if you want. If you want to stay on this planet, you each have to give me $100 a month to pay for rent for my planet. And that's basically what every government does, only most people believe it when government does it. But no, you don't get to just own a giant amount of land by saying you do. So that's sort of the libertarian answer to that.
Just a quick comment. I'm just totally amazed. For centuries, they've had governments. They've always failed, and we just keep doing the insanity over and over and over again, it gets kind of disappointing sometimes. It's depressing.
Yeah, it's talking about the fact that we do government over and over and over again for thousands of years, and people keep trying and keep thinking, if we just somehow arrange this right, it'll work, and people just, they never seem to learn the underlying problem. And we go from one nasty empire to another one, because people think, and this is sort of cliche, I say it all the time, I'm going to keep saying it all the time, people think the problem is the guy who's on the throne. The problem has never been the guy on the throne. The problem has always been there's a throne to be on. And if you knock that guy off the throne, the next guy in line is going to be a sociopath. And you look how often in history you have a revolution against one nasty authoritarian regime, and you get a new nasty authoritarian regime. And to me, one of the most useful things the founding fathers of this country did was demonstrate what a bad idea limited government is. It was the most limited attempt to ever make a government, and it turned into the most powerful authoritarian empire the world has ever known. If that doesn't show you that limited government doesn't stinking work, I don't know what will.
I get a fucking A for that one too.
When people... So, and it is depressing, like reading Schindler's List and the Diary of Anne Frank and realizing the main opposition to the Nazis were the communists. And to me, that's just so depressing. Really, your answer to a big collectivist authoritarian regime.
Well, there was a third party. There were the mild socialists.
The mild. The moderate. Yeah, that's what we need, more moderation. The fact that that's all they can think of, because being able to recognize one evil, what do you do? Like if somebody's stomping on you, being able to say, I don't like this. Well, no kidding, who does? The thing is, if you got the chance to be the stomper, to tell the stomper what to do, would you? Everybody who votes and believes in government would. That's what has to stop. I don't just want this guy not stomping on me. I want no one stomping on anybody. I mean, every nasty tyrannical regime started by fighting against some other injustice. Right. What Hitler railed against were real evils that should have been railed against and should have been fought against, only the people were in the authoritarian mindset. They replaced one with another. Same thing with Mao, same thing with Stalin, same thing with the U.S.
Usually worse, too.
Yeah, and it ends up worse in the long run. But luckily now, after however many thousands of years of going around in circles, there are more and more people, and it's accelerating amazingly in the last few years, who recognize, hey, how does he not have the throne there anymore? Because every time you put somebody up there, he's an evil bastard who stops some people who commits mass murder. Take the throne away. Stop putting a new guy on it.